Don't forget, ko-fi.com/stopwritingalone is a real simple way to show your support for what's going on here week after week. Hi, everyone. This is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast for writers who are looking for their writing community. I know you want to find readers for your work, but I think your first step is to connect with other writers. That's what we're going to do here in the Stop Writing Alone podcast. We'll do writing prompts and other writing group activities, discover online writing communities, learn how to find local writing groups, or how to make your own. Join us as we explore, learn, and write. Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. Hey, everybody. So after a long year of living in the bubble, my family and I are actually away from home with other family members that we haven't seen in a while. And I want to say that it's a sort of vacation, but we're all still on our regular schedule of things. School is still happening. I'm still here doing the podcast. And, you know, I'm a little offbeat. I'm a little out of sorts because we've been here just one day. And it's been very social and very relaxed. And I had to screw my head back on to get into writing head mode. So you may find the next couple of episodes a little different. Unless, of course, you've been listening from the beginning and you were following me along on my last epic trip that I decided to podcast through anyway. Then here we go again. Here we go again with Nicole on the road, I guess. So since we're talking about traveling and doing all this, I was thinking about this when I was getting ready to pack. Like, what the heck am I going to bring with me? I have the Stop Writing Alone book that I'm working on, and I know that I wanted to spend some of the time here working on it. But I also had all these books that I wanted to read. And how many can I pack? Because this time we took a plane, and I have to worry about the weight. And for some reason, all the books that I recently bought are hard-covered. So this was another issue I was having. And then there was the fact that I'm not sure if it was the day before we left on the trip or 2 days before we left on the trip. We went for our first trip to Barnes & Noble in probably over a year. I don't think we went in there throughout all of this pandemic. If we did, it was like once. But of course, what happened when I was in Barnes & Noble, I moseyed on over to the writing section. I looked through and I saw a book I'd never seen before, and I immediately fell in love with it because, you know, as I do. And I decided I haven't been to Barnes & Noble in a while. I haven't done this in a while. I should buy this for myself. How lovely. And so I picked up the book. Maybe you've seen it. Of course, another hardcover. It's called Words in Progress. It's the Creative Writer's Guided Journal by Sammy LaBeau. And I mentioned this book because I stood there and I almost didn't buy it because I said, Nicole, you really going to do this again? You're going to buy one of these books that has all these exercises in it and all these lines for you to work in. And then what are you going to do with the book, Nicole? You're going to put it on your shelf and you're going to pull it off the shelf and maybe share one of the exercises on your YouTube channel, or maybe do an exercise or a prompt in a writing prompt party, but then otherwise just let it sit there, because that's what I do. I want to know if this is what everybody's doing or if this is a Nicole problem. Do you buy a bunch of writing books for collection purposes? I don't know what the purpose is. The intent is that I'm going to do this. I'm going to use these books to enhance my craft and then I do an exercise or two. And then it's either that I get another book, I get involved in one of my writing projects, or I don't know if I forget about it, whatever it is. So I decided that I would buy this book and I would pack this book and I would spend every day just going through it. And so far, that's what I've been doing. I've been doing the exercises. I started at page 1 and I'm just going straight through and actually filling up the book. And I'm so proud of myself because I'm doing this. And the exercises have been really cool. And I think part of what's helping me commit to this is the fact that I don't have because I am out of my regular routine. Let's put it that way. So normally when I'm going away, I'll pack a blank notebook and I'll start a writing project, or I will commit myself to the morning pages or just documenting my trip. And I said, nope, not this time. I'm not doing that. I'm going to pack this book. And it's been great because it's something different every day. I'm not reading ahead. I'm literally just reading the pages as I go. And each day I've had a different exercise to do. So I am, of course, going to be sharing at least one of these on the YouTube channel coming up soon. But the first one was writing a letter to your creativity, which was pretty cool. And it's inspired by the poem by Alice Walker called I Said to Poetry. And if you follow Stop Writing Alone on Facebook, you'll see that I shared that poem there a couple of days ago when I bought the book, because I was like, I never even heard of that poem before, and it's quite beautiful. So I wrote my letter to creativity, which was an interesting exercise in and of itself. Then there was another exercise where you just sort of had to jot down all the things you did in the day. And then what did we have to do here? Oh, right. And just circle some stuff. It's one of these books that has like lots of different, I would call them more exercises than prompts. But I really liked the one that I did, I guess it was yesterday, Odes to Objects. And I'm going to share it with you in case you want to try this exercise. But so far, I have to say, I feel like I'm doing a review of this book, but I am liking it so far. So this is on page 8, and it's called Odes to Objects. And it says, often people say that they would write if they only knew what to write about. But inspiration can be closer than you realize. The paperweight on your desk, the seashells you collect, even the items in your toiletry bag. Objects carry with them so much story. Where did that thing come from? Why is it useful? Who owns it? Object writing asks us to examine items, considering not only what they are, but what they mean to us. Think of something you or a character owns and would rescue first in a fire. On this page, write about the moment it was attained. Don't forget to describe the object itself. And this is a small book, so you just have one page. So, a paragraph or two about the object, the thing you would rescue from a fire. This isn't like, like we've never heard of this exercise before, but I like the idea of reminding us to describe the object, not only like what it is, but where you got it, getting a little bit of the history of the object. And then the facing page has a second follow-up exercise. And so far with this book, it seems to be that the 2 pages, as you open up, are often related. And so that's what I've been trying to do each day, is do the 2 pages. And so the next thing says, now think of something you or a character might do anything to get rid of. This is an object that holds a bad energy. Is it a piece of jewelry? an ex's sweater, a lockbox without a key. Where did it come from? Write about it on this page. And that was the exercise that I don't know. It really, I tapped into something for me. Because like I said, the idea of like, what's the thing that you'll save from a fire? That's a big icebreaker question. I feel like there's been plenty of times where we've been called to sort of answer that question. But I can't say anyway, a time when I was really driven to answer the question of like, what's the thing that you or your character want to get rid of. So I thought that was a really cool and unique sort of twist on this object writing. Oh, I guess I should read this as well. There's a little tip up in the top of the corner. It says, tip, resist the urge to start writing about the object in a stoic way. You could describe your object through a sense other than sight. The sound your favorite figure skates make across the ice, the smell of an old cigar box. Or begin with the object in motion or in a character's hand. Because I've not been reading this book ahead, I didn't read the tips until after I had done my writing. So now I've learned to make sure I read the tip beforehand, but I love that tip. I love anytime a book or an exercise or a writing instructor reminds us to use all our senses, because the default is we're always back in sight. I mean, occasionally hearing, but I feel like I'm really envious of the writers who come to the page with all their senses on board, like right away. Because that's one of those things that I always have to remind myself, and hopefully more practice, it will come more naturally to me in first drafts. But yeah, I guess what I want to challenge everybody to with this episode, and it doesn't have to be this week, but I want you to look at your bookshelf. I want you to look at all of those writing books that have exercises or prompts in them, and you bought them all for a reason. And I would wonder if you, and perhaps this doesn't apply to you, maybe they're all filled up with all wonderful things, but if you haven't done them, could you devote an amount of time and just like pick one of those books off the shelf and just go cover to cover and see what happens? I mean, this is what these books were created for. They're created for people to really like dive in, use them, abuse them, learn from them. Just do the exercises. Just do them. And I'm saying that twice because I feel like in the beginning of my writing journey, when I first started buying these books, I wasn't doing the exercises in the books because I wanted to do them quote unquote right. And so even when I did do the exercises, it was like in a separate notebook. It was somewhere else. And I never like brought the things together. And lately, I'm finding that when I'm reading books, particularly nonfiction books or self-help books, I've been in a couple of book clubs with books that are more like activity books, not necessarily writing related. I'm writing in them like crazy. So, like The Artist's Way is a good example. I'm also reading the Wim Hof book with Kim Floden's book club right now. When I read Martha Beck's book with Sam Kimberly's book club, these are the types of books that I'm writing in all the time. And what I love is that when I'm done reading them, my copy of that book becomes an artifact in and of itself. Not only are the words there that, I purchased the book for and all that inspiration, but I'm also getting my reactions to them. I'm getting the highlights and the notes that I'm putting in the side. And it's really quite valuable. So when it comes to these writing books, I want to do the same. I want to create these artifacts of where I am in this moment in my writing. And if I get to a point where I say, oh, I really dislike what I came up with in this Words in Progress book, and I would love to do these exercises again, I think I'm in a better space. Well, there's two options there. I can, at that point, open up a new notebook and start doing them. Or, hey, Nicole, go treat yourself to a new copy and do it again and see what happens. But, yeah, so this is my current vacation project that I'm taking on, and I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm enjoying the process because I am not placing any sort of expectation on it. This is kind of that writing with no destination. This is nothing in here is something that I'm thinking of, like, oh, I can polish it up and publish it, or submit it somewhere, or post it on wherever, my social media, or use it. This is just going to be my book, The Artifact of Writing, and hopefully in the process I will learn a little bit more about my process. I will be reminded of things like writing with all of my senses and come away from it as a better writer. So assignment 1, as I said, check out your bookshelf, see what's there that you didn't allow yourself to really engage with beginning to end. And don't forget that when you do so, you don't have to be perfect about it. Just like dive in, have fun, use ink, and be okay with the fact that it might be sloppy and messy and crossed out and all of that jazz. I'm saying all this because these are all things that I know at times I wasn't okay with myself. But that's it. I think I'm actually going to, after I produce this episode, do one more set of pages in Words in Progress before I go to sleep for the night. And then that is all. That's it. I'll just keep plugging along. And perhaps I will check in back here on the podcast when I reach the final page, and we'll see what was my experience of doing and committing to one of these books beginning to end. And why this book after all of the writing exercise books that I've purchased? I think the timing of it was just right. I bought the book right before I got on a plane, and I said, I'll pack this, and I won't pack the other things. Hopefully it'll start a new habit for me, and I will give myself permission to do this with all of my books on my bookshelf when I get back home. So I hope it gives somebody out there permission to do the same. Happy writing. Thank you as always for listening. I will talk to you again next week. And don't forget to come check out the MV Rivera YouTube channel for a new writing prompt on this Friday. Have an awesome week.
Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Stop Writing Alone podcast wherever you're listening to this episode today. Then connect with us on Facebook at Stop Writing Alone Facebook page or in the Stop Writing Alone with Nicole Rivera Facebook group. Check Instagram or Twitter where I'm at NV_Rivera to find links to our email newsletter. Recording, hosting, editing, producing. It's so much work. Disaster has struck. I finished my coffee. Tell me coffee is coming. ko-fi.com/stop writing alone.